Hi everybody, my name is Angelica. I'm the owner of the Math Magician Bookkeeping and one of the students in Bryce's coaching program. And today I am going to be talking with you guys about how to client onboard. And I will be uploading another video on how to do client onboarding for someone who's never used an accounting software before. But today this one is going to be assumed that they're using some kind of accounting software. And in this example, we're going to be using QuickBooks. So if you've watched my previous video on how to have a successful consultation with a potential client, if they said yes and they want to move forward with you, this is how you would onboard a client. So in one of the QuickBooks online training videos that I did to become a pro advisor, there's actually a checklist that QuickBooks gives you that kind of gives you an idea of the QuickBooks subscriptions and then also an onboarding process. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you guys so that way we can kind of go over that together and then basically, move forward and just show you some of the things that I like to do to onboard my clients. Okay, so right off the bat, we can see this onboarding checklist here. This is the one that I was talking about out of QuickBooks. And this is going to go over some of the things that you need to do, get them to sign a contract, get their data, make sure they have a subscription, get all their information, import lists, so on and so forth. So this is a good reference point to go back to. This also has like the features of QuickBooks. So we'll go over that in the next video if they don't have anything. But this is going to be kind of just a good starting off point. So like I said in my previous video on how to have a successful consultation, I like to send every potential client a form. And if we've already had a meeting and they haven't filled out a form, I still have them fill out that form. That way I at least know what was going on with their business at the time of our meeting. This is the form that I typically send them. This is based off of my website. And they can just go here. It's a link that I'll send them. And it just kind of goes over their business information and certain questions, tax returns, sales tax, payroll, if they've had a bookkeeper before, what does their budget look like, so on and so forth. And that is the form that I usually send them. So I'd highly recommend having something done like that. I basically made this with Google Forms, and then I went to Form Facade and basically made it look like my brand and embedded it in my website. So that is that, but basically I also have my contract agreement. So this is what it looks like here. I basically make everything through Google and then just kind of make it more enhanced so that it looks good and save it for next time. This is my bookkeeping agreement. I kind of go over what all I'm going to be covering for them, what their responsibility is, how the confidentiality gets started, the billing policy of what it would be per month, and then to get started for kind of general cleanup, that was the price. And then this is a real important section to me, making sure the price that we agreed upon, but basically they get a $50 discounted rate applied each month for any business that they refer to me that ends up signing a contract. Basically the terms of agreement. And then I also have in here this recurring credit card payment authorization. I have recently started doing this because there are too many times that I'm waiting for payments at the end of the month and it doesn't make any sense. So I have this recurring credit card payment authorization. Again, I made this through Google Docs as well, where basically they fill out all this information here and I keep that on file, upload it to QuickBooks, what have you, and then I can just basically run their credit card at the first of the month whenever I do everything. So that just kind of goes into that detail there. Document storage, what their responsibilities are, how things should be disputed if some issues arise, the next steps. So I would need access to their QuickBooks Online account, basically how to invite me, and then filling out the credit card authorization form and the user login form. So basically this user login form here I also made, it's going to give me access into their bank login information as well as like PayPal or Square, any other type of thing that I may need to actually access their bank account, because you can get viewer only access which makes it much easier. You don't have to wait on bank statements to come to you at the end of the month. You can look in there that way. If there's like a weird random check that you don't know about, you can actually view it and see what it is. This just kind of saves a lot of headache in the future. So I have their banking institution, username, password. If they have any other locations, like I said, Department of Revenue, Square, Stripe, etc. And then basically letting them know that this is going to be kept in a secure location. It's not going to end up being shown to anybody else. And then also I have on here that you'll also be sent a link from Client Hub. So Client Hub is a secure portal. It's this little icon sitting right up here, but I basically can put all of my clients in there, send them a little invitation link. They can upload any documents. I can make tasks for them if there's like an uncategorized expense that comes through QuickBooks. I can actually go into Client Hub and send that to them, and they can actually select a drop-down menu of what it belongs to, which is really nice. But that is the Client Hub. And then once those steps are done, then I'll go through their transactions and advise with them on what specific transactions are, and then kind of go forward with my most magical experience to their bookkeeping needs. So that's my agreement there. You don't have to do all of these things, but it just really has helped me kind of streamline my process. That way there's no headaches. I don't have to worry about them paying me. I already know their card's on file. I already know how to get into their bank statements. So there's no headache or wondering when that's going to be sent to me. It just kind of streamlines it a lot faster. So then you want to get their new data and documents. Make sure that they can give you user access through QuickBooks Online, and then make sure all the information is listed correctly. So that's basically the forms that I use, the agreements, what have you, to be able to go ahead and get them set up for some kind of onboarding process. So once all those steps have been taken, I usually like to, and once I have access into their QuickBooks, there are a few things that I like to look at as soon as I get access into their QuickBooks, and it's about 5 different things, and this is real important to me to kind of know where the actual company stands and how big of an actual process it's going to be to get their actual stuff cleaned up. So majority of the time you're going to have some kind of cleanup. Like I said, if it's going to be a new QuickBooks setup, that'll be discussed in a different video. But the 5 things that I generally try to look for and look at are uncategorized income / expenses. So I usually go into the chart of accounts under uncategorized income and view that report. And then I also view the uncategorized expenses. This kind of gives me an idea of what all is just left hanging out in the void and what needs to actually be addressed and categorized properly. That way, whenever taxes do come around, those aren't just hanging out there where they shouldn't belong. The second thing that I always look at is their reconciliations. How recent were the reconciliations done? And then also I click history by account and I look through literally all the way back to the very beginning of time pretty much, see if there's any type of reconciliation discrepancies. Because this also goes hand in hand with the third thing that I usually check, which is the balance sheet. I like to check the balance sheet to make sure that the actual accounts listed in QuickBooks actually match the reconciliation amount, which should match the bank statement, obviously. So obviously on the balance sheet, whenever the checking account or credit card pulls up, I want to make sure that it matches that bank statement perfectly, which should match that reconciliation. Because if not, there's obviously something in that account in QuickBooks in the register that doesn't belong, and we need to figure out what that is. So those two kind of go hand in hand, reconciliation and then the balance sheet. I also like to look at the accounts receivable and the accounts payables and figure out, if there's any outstanding balances that need to be paid, how far back those outstanding balances go, and then try to figure out how to get that taken care of moving forward. And then I also look in the undeposited funds, because this is another thing that can get pretty messy and can require a lot of cleanup, and just kind of knowing where those things belong. Especially if you have outstanding invoices that haven't been paid, more than likely it's sitting in that undeposited funds and it just needs to be matched to an actual bank deposit that came through. So those are the 5 things that I specifically look for. And then whenever there's items that I'm unfamiliar with, because there's whenever you start any business, you're not going to know 100% what every transaction is. You can kind of guesstimate that, okay, Google ads, it's obviously for advertising. Restaurants is going to go towards meals and entertainment. But there are certain outliers that you're not going to know about. And so what I usually like to do is create a spreadsheet. And I'll show that here as well. So you can tell, basically I went through, and you can actually make a copy of like certain expenses. Like I know for this 2021 expenses and income, basically I was able to just copy the report down into from QuickBooks, basically like from the uncategorized expenses and income, and that made it real easy, so you don't have to enter in everything one by one. But basically I figured out what account their actual stuff went into, the date that it was made, the actual purchase price, what the description is, and then I made it possible that it matched most of the chart of accounts in QuickBooks. So advertising, licenses, it's basically this little drop down menu they can choose from. That way they can decide what goes best with that. If they don't know, then they can always write it off to the side here if it's not something in this drop down menu. This this actual client, they have properties that they take care of. So I also put a drop down menu of all of their properties that they have. But this is a real convenient way to basically get information on what those transactions are. But basically, that spreadsheet is going to give me an idea of how to move forward with their stuff. And then it also gives me something to look back to in case I ever do kind of forget what's going on. And then I will always get their vendors and customers info imported if it's all not already in QuickBooks. It should be, but if not, I like to get that information from them. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video. I hope that this helped you get a better idea of how to onboard your clients and the steps that need to be taken for that. So I will see you in the next one. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to Bryce because he has some excellent videos for you. And also, don't forget to book a call with him if you're wanting to know how to grow your business, or if you're just starting out your bookkeeping business and you're wanting to learn how to run it more effectively. So thank you guys so much. Click the link below for that, and I will see you in the next one.